If you had all of the growers of Canada in a room, what are some of the most important things you would tell them about the work that you do, or any myths or misconceptions that, you've encountered over the years? What would be some key things that you would want them to know?
I'd say it don't dismiss doing a full disease test on your seed. The with the majority of the testing that we do here at the lab is only looking at that one pathogen, Fusarium graminearum, and there's a whole bunch of pathogens that can infect seed that can be an issue, right? In our lab here, we have a disease test called the fungal screen. And with this, we're looking at 10 different fungi that can be seed-borne. 5 of these are really important pathogens. So it includes Cochlear ovalis, which causes common root rot. It can also cause spot blotch in barley. Fusarium graminearum, which is, the big one. But other Fusarium species too, importantly. And seed-borne, those 3 should be the biggest concern. These are things that cause seedling blights and root rot. So if you're seeding something that has very high levels, if the conditions are right, you're not going to have a very good spring, right? If it's really wet, you'll see a lot of early disease, and that just sets you up for failure. There's also Pyronoptera and Septoria, which can be seed-borne, and these are both foliar leaf pathogens, and these are important to look at as well because they can be present at really high levels, and so that can be introducing a large amount of disease to a field right off the start. A lot of people are just doing just the Fusarium graminearum test, but these other pathogens can be present, and having a disease test that shows they're not present is well worth it as well. Some people they only want to do the test if they think it's present, but having low levels is very important, right? And you want to have the confidence that those pathogens are not present.
I think they say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So doing the full test, it sounds like, is a more proactive approach to better enable them to address any issues, or just even to have peace of mind, really.
Exactly. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Peace of mind is what it's all about, right? Because if you don't do the test, you might not know that it's there. We try to let growers know if we see very high amounts of certain pathogens on the test, but there could be levels that are elevated that they might not be aware of as well, right?
What's one of the questions that your lab gets really frequently?
Probably back to the fungal screen. One of the most common things we see is alternaria. That's usually present on a fungal screen over 50%. And it's so it looks like an alarming number, but it's something that doesn't actually cause disease in seedlings. Having high levels isn't a concern. Its role in the field is as a saprophyte, so it's there breaking down dead and dying plant material, often on those leaves that are senescing in the field. Especially like right now, if you go out there, you'll see kind of mold kind of growing over everything, just breaking down the plant material, and that's what it is. It's either alternaria or cladosporium. They're very common. They can cause sooty molds as well, so you'll see heads that are just all black, but from a seed standpoint, it's generally not a concern. If it's going towards grain, then it can be an issue. It can cause black point or mildew, and that can be a downgrading concern for that. But for seeds, generally not an issue. The other thing is, I have this level percent of infection. Is the seed okay to use? And that's a very difficult question. There's no black and white answer, right?
They want a simple answer to a simple question, right? They want a yes or no. They want the green light.
Exactly. Yeah. They want me to, tell them yes or no, but it's such a difficult thing to determine because, it's something that, again, it comes back to the disease triangle, right? If the environment's right, you could get away with using something that has very high levels of disease. It might not actually cause much damage, but, it also depends on the severity of infection in the individual seeds too. So when I look at an infected seed, I just say, it has an infection or not, right? I'm not able to say like it's gone in and affected the actual critical parts of the plant. The other point to look at is introducing disease to a field. And in Alberta, where we still have areas where there's not much Fusarium graminearum, this is the most black and white you can get with this answer. If you're not used to seeing Fusarium graminearum or whatever disease regularly, you don't want to introduce it to that field. If you're starting out and it's not there, don't bring it in, right? You don't want to bring something in that's not there already.